Hi, I'm Roro, and this video is going to be about the Mandela Effect and the theory of multiverses or alternate realities. I'm going to try to explain the theory of multiverses and alternate realities in layman's terms, which is probably all I understand it in anyway. I just wanted to let people know because there's a lot of people that are making fun of people who believe in the Mandela effect. There's a lot of naysayers out there, and I just wanted to say that this isn't some kind of crazy conspiracy theory. This isn't something that people just dreamed up because they thought Nelson Mandela died and they don't trust their own memory. This is the theory of multiverses and alternate realities has been a theory of physics which is very well supported by some brilliant physicists out there and has been around for a very, very long time, way before Nelson Mandela, they thought he died, way before that. So I did not make this shit up about multiverses, and the people who believe in the Mandela effect did not make it up either. These theories existed prior to even the 1950s. Einstein's theory of relativity even suggested that there could be things out there. He didn't know it at the time, but I'll get into that later. But anyway, many of the most brilliant physicists, way smarter than me and definitely smarter than some of these doubters and naysayers of the Mandela effect, these brilliant physicists have worked out the math to support these theories. So I'll try to go into it a little bit. Now, people my age or older, when we were young, when we were children, we were taught that the universe was everything. That with everything that we know, all the planets, all the galaxies, everything, the universe contained everything. Now, even when I went to college and everything, we knew that this is not the case. There are a few different theories of the existence of other universes. And this is even before the Hubble's discoveries. There were a few different theories. Some were that maybe there were other universes out there in different spaces, other beyond the space that we have. And there's a link down there that has some physicists talking about their other theories of universes. So even before we were able to visualize or measure or prove that there's more than just our universe that we can measure and detect, we had this one theory of multiverses, that other universes could exist in the same space but in different times, or at the same time but in different dimensions. We only know of 4 dimensions. The 3-dimensional space, time is the 4th dimension. Maybe there's other dimensions that we can't visualize or even conceive of. So, and also the whole field of quantum mechanics suggests that there are different futures or different outcomes that could be created depending on different choices made, or different, free will. Schrodinger's cat. Anyway, I'm getting off subject here. So, anyway, this theory of multiverses exists a very long time ago, and many sci-fi movies, some very bad, not scientific sci-fi movies, have been made about it, which is probably why a lot of people think it's BS. Then in the 90s, they built the Hubble Space Telescope. I actually worked on the Hubble for 13 years, so I'm a little partial, but anyway, the Hubble enabled us to make some extraordinary observations. And within the first 15 years of the Hubble, the 90 to 2005, which I didn't work on it back then, I started working in 98, but in the first 15 years, we were able to prove many of the theories of the past several centuries of physics. So that is extraordinary, that all these physicists had these theories that they couldn't prove. They were just theories. They were mathematically suggested and proven, but no physical evidence, and then the Hubble comes, and within 15 years, a lot of these things are just proven. So, the most amazing discovery to me that happened with the Hubble was the expansion. Was that the expansion of the universe was about the expansion of the universe. After the discovery that the universe was expanding, and the Big Bang Theory was surmised, we didn't know if it was going to keep expanding, if gravity was just going to slow it down, and then everything would stop, or if gravity would begin to pull everything back like a rubber band, the rubber band theory, and it would bounce back to the singularity where the Big Bang began. The amazing thing that was discovered by the Hubble was that the expansion of the universe was accelerating. This was so exciting. How did this happen? We know from physics that for something to accelerate, there must be another force acting on it. Now, one explanation was, now back with Einstein's theory of relativity, he had this cosmological constant, and he inserted this term into his theory of relativity as a property of space itself to counteract gravity, because at the time physicists believed in a static universe, that everything, they didn't even know it was expanding, they just believed in a static universe, and his theory of relativity didn't predict that there was a static universe. So he created this constant to counteract gravity. When it was discovered that the universe was expanding, Einstein believed this to be his biggest blunder. But now that physicists know that the universe is accelerating, they have revived Einstein's cosmological constant. They call this force dark energy because we don't know what it is. We can't measure it, we can't see it, we can't detect it. We have no idea what this is. This is exciting to me. So there is a lot of unknowns. Also, now being able to calculate the mass of the observable universe with the Hubble and with all the other satellites that are out there, that other satellites that measure and detect things. We can detect the mass of all the planets, all the other stars, all the galaxies. We can get a good estimation of the mass of what we know of to be our universe. If they calculate that mass, it only makes up about 5% of what the universe's mass should be, according to the gravitation and the expanding that they calculate that the mass should be. This is hard to explain. I don't even understand it really. I don't know the math, but if with the calculations that they do of how the universe is expanding and how gravity pulls everything, they come up with what the mass of the universe should be. Then they take the observations of all the galaxies and all the planets, everything they know of that they can detect in the universe, and they calculate that mass. The difference, what they're seeing is only 5% of what it should be. So what that means is there's 95% of the stuff out there that we don't know what it is. We can't detect it. And even if they take that dark energy, because remember, energy is also can be converted into mass. That's Einstein's mass energy, E equals mc squared. So even if they take that dark energy, that's still left, I think, about 68% missing. So they call that dark matter. 68% of what's out there, they don't know what it is. And it's not a mistake. I mean, these have been verified again and again and again. So they call that dark matter. So what is this dark matter that we can't see? Is it possible that this dark matter is other dimensions? Could it be? Possibly? Do you think? Maybe? Really? Yeah, I think so. That's what I think. Anyway, so the point of this is the Mandela Effect is not just a new surreal fabrication that some conspiracy theorists like Alex Jones dreamed up on an acid trip. Many of the most brilliant physicists have predicted for the past century that multiverses exist. Now, as for the idea that CERN has been able to, now if you don't know what CERN is, it's the big 17-mile wide particle accelerator out in, I don't even know where it is, Switzerland, wherever the fuck it is. And it's the biggest particle accelerator ever built, and they didn't even know what was going to happen when they fired this thing up. They thought, some people thought it was going to create a black hole and swallow us all up and destroy the universe. But you know, a lot of these Mandela Effect people think that CERN is responsible, that when they fired this thing up, it created a wormhole, and that's what created a tear in between us and some other dimension, and some of us are getting memories from this other dimension or something like that, or we're from that different reality. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. It could be CERN, but to me, it's more likely due to quantum computing. But the remarkable thing about all this is that when I was an undergraduate, one of the very first theories that I had when I first studied Einstein's theory of relativity and the double slit experiment. The double slit experiment is when they shined light onto a plate with two slits. When you shine the light on it, you expect to get two beams of light on the back wall. From the two slits. So anyway, you get, I don't remember, but basically it's light, sometimes it acts like a wave and sometimes it acts like a particle, and oh God, I can't remember this stuff. It's been a long time. It's been 30 years. And, you know, I've been making makeup videos and videos about politics. It's hard for me to remember this shit. But it diffracted. Instead of making these two beams of light on the back wall, it went through the slits and then diffracted like a wave and made a diffraction pattern. And they didn't expect that. So light sometimes acts like a particle, sometimes it acts like a wave. So basically, then they tried, you know, doing one photon at a time. And they still got this wave pattern. And they're thinking, well, what the hell is going on? How does this photon know that there's going to be another photon coming, whatever? So I thought, so now this is back in the early 80s. Everybody thought that, you know, everybody wanted their own particle. So everybody was inventing their own particle. This was the big era of particle physics. So I thought, okay, there's a particle that travels faster than the speed of light. Because back then we thought nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. So I said, there's a particle that can, but it's not a real particle with mass. It just carries information. And it travels faster than the speed of light, and it goes to the plate and sees that there's two slits and comes back and tells the photon. So this was like, I mean, I was half serious. You know, I was just like, okay, it's an information, it's a particle that can carry information, and it can travel faster than the speed of light, and I'm going to call it the rosatron, and this means that information can go back in time. We can't travel back in time, but we can send information back in time. Now, this is exciting because maybe this can explain ESP, you know, people who can predict the future and people who can see into the past and all this. This is the particle that explains all that. It's the rosatron. And, you know, I mean, all the, you know, you got to understand, okay, this was the 80s. I was a physics major. I was one of only 3 girls in the whole physics class of like 200 guys. And I was more of a decoration than someone to be taken seriously. But I didn't care because I was getting an education. And, you know, so the guys, the professor, they had a good laugh, and we left it at that. But then when I went to California, I took some classes at Berkeley, some graduate courses, and one of the graduate courses I took was optoelectronics. And we were talking about Einstein's paradox and the theory of relativity, and I actually did a paper about this theory I had, and the rosatron. I don't think I called it the rosatron. I don't know. Maybe I did. But he was really excited. He thought this was great. He was like, you should apply for a graduate assistantship in the physics department and the parapsychology department because they're doing all these experiments with ESP. And if you can, and I was like, I'm smoking crack on the weekends. So I didn't tell him that, but that's what I was doing. So it wasn't going to happen. I think during that year when I was taking the classes, I was clean, but my years in California, I was fucked up. So there was no way I was doing a graduate assistantship. That is probably the worst decision I ever made. I should have quit my job. I was only making like $30,000 a year, but that back then that was a lot of money. And I should have taken the graduate assistantship. I could have got a PhD, but I don't know, physics and parapsychology. I don't know. Was I going to get a degree in both? Or was it just going to be a psychology degree? Because I don't think I'd be interested in that. But anyway. Oh, and then, wait a minute. The CIA was doing experiments. I remember when I was watching some video about Mars, and they were talking about how they were finding things on Mars, and they had a CIA document it wasn't leaked, it was released. And because it had to be released or something, Freedom of Information. And it was from back in the 80s. It was 1984. It was this remote sensing where they send people back in time and they can see things. And this one guy, they sent him back to 1,000,000 years ago on Mars, and he was seeing people and all this stuff. So who knows? Maybe they were doing things already back then. So maybe I wasn't so crazy after all. So anyway, I'm getting really off topic here. I always do this. This is supposed to be about the Mandela Effect, and I'm talking about Mars? What the fuck? Anyway, so back to the Mandela Effect. Where was I? So here we are 30 years later. We haven't mastered time travel yet, but it seems like information may have been changed. And but with the rise of quantum computers and artificial intelligence enabling it, I have a link below. Now, I really think it's not CERN, it's quantum computing, or maybe it's both, I don't know, but I think quantum computing has a bigger role. I saw a link, and I have the link here, of the Chief Technology Officer of DWAVE, Gertie Rose, and he said in a speech that he gave, here's a quote from him: "We can start to exploit parallel universes by reaching into them and pulling out their computing power." Now, this is a very level-headed, credible individual. He's getting funded for his company by like Goldman Sachs and Google and some of the same investors that are investing in SpaceX and all these things. Now, could it be marketing hype? Who knows? But I don't actually strongly believe in any of the Mandela Effect claims. I don't remember Nelson Mandela dying. I don't care about Fruit Loops or car emblems. I wouldn't trust my own memory anyway, because my memory sucks. I can't remember what I did last week. But maybe the Mandela Effect is what's responsible for people having memory problems. A lot of people are having memory problems way too young to be senile. But anyway, I trust other people's memory, people who do have good memories. Like my son, he knows that it was the Berenstain Bears. There's no way it was Berenstain. And then there's people who go do research and then they find some small bit of evidence. Like one guy had a VHS tape that said Berenstain. So there you go. There are little glitches. They find information. I know people that know scripture. They know it. And they say it was the lion will lay down with the lamb, not the wolf. And then people go check their Bible that they've had for years in their house, and now it says the wolf. So somebody didn't go into people's houses and change everybody's Bible. This was changed back in time. The Bible. They changed the fucking Bible 2,000 years ago. So this is very, very incredible. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what happened to me that made me believe that the Mandela Effect is really happening. During Hillary Clinton's campaign, she was spelling her name with one L. And I seem to remember that it was two L's. Okay, Hillary Duff was one L. Hillary Clinton was two L's. And I thought, I think it's two L's. So everywhere you looked, she was spelling it with one L. Her Twitter account, her Facebook. Now, this was during the campaign from like, I don't know, from the time I was looking at it around May of 2016, I noticed, and maybe all summer, everything had one L. All her accounts, her books that had been written 30 years ago, everything had one L in it. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go try to do some research myself and try to find something with two L's. And I started finding a few things. I found an ad in the paper that was looking for interns. This was from a few years ago or something. I found that. I found a book, one of her books from a long time ago that somebody wrote about her. It was a biography, I think. It was a picture of the book. Somebody were selling the book on eBay. They put one L in the description on eBay, but the photo that they took of the book had two L's. So they must have taken that picture before. So anyway, I saved a few links of things that I found with two L's, and I was going to make this post on the Mandela board and say, look, Hillary really had two L's in these things. And so I'm saving this stuff for a few days. And anyway, one day I wake up and everything is changed back again to two L's. I mean, everything. Her Twitter account, her Facebook, everything, all the books that were written 30 years ago about her, everything changed back to two L's. So now all the research I did was for nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck? I saw this happen with my own eyes, right before my own eyes. So that's what made me believe that in the Mandela Effect, that something is really fucked up. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand it. All I know is something is really crazy because this is weird. And this is not normal. And I believe some of the people who are saying that they have these effects. I think it was Luke, I am your father. Too many people I know, they're Trekkies, they know this stuff. Oh, this is Star Wars. They're Star Wars and whatever. But, they know this stuff. They know it was Luke, I'm your father, So, anyway, I agree that some aspects of what people believe about the Mandela Effect might be bullshit. Some people have a lot of batty religious theories about it. I don't know. But I do believe that there are multiverses. And so I hope everything I have said, I hope you can at least keep an open mind and not just call all these people crackpots. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll leave you with that. Thanks. Bye.